Good afternoon, all. Paul from CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Friday afternoon, October 10th. We're looking at Window Trader's market profile of the ES and the NQ. We have a lot to talk about. Had a good day today. I'm not going to really go over my trades. Believe it or not, I did long a period just to get that overnight high in NQ. NQ did make an all-time high, but did not get the overnight all-time high. I took a loss in B on a long when it started coming in. That was that. And then I shorted the rest of the day. D, E, F, H, L, and M. And did well. Okay? That's that on the trades. Lot to talk about. Definitely some changes. We'll go over all the charts. Bears took another step today. They put the daily down now in ES. They put the weekly back into balance in ES. And Q to weekly's back into balance. And we'll go over those in a minute. Now the daily, because we came out, remember, we had an inside day. We came out of it and made an all-time high. So in NQ, you were technically one time framing up initially, Wednesday, Thursday, and this morning. I don't go bull bear or bear bull. So I understand we just wiped out all this. But for me, I'm calling the daily balance. Obviously, if all we do is take out today's low on Monday, the daily's firmly down. Okay? We've put a lot of longs underwater, right? Look at this. Righty comes out of balance on the daily, down. And their weekly is now balanced. Now the monthlies are still healthy. The range and volume was tremendous. And before I go any further, they're all going to say is because, when this market went down, that 90 minutes, basically, C, D, and E, it went down so viciously. D period, I think it was D period, did 25 million shares of SPY. Didn't see anything yet, hit the tape. The way they went down, I seriously thought either we had a terrorist attack or an assassination on Trump. Serious, with the viciousness. When I saw it was this absolute bullshit news on tariffs, I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. So we can use any reason you want. This market was incredibly long. We've been talking about that. ES kept failing at balance highs. NQ did come out of an inside day up to put the daily up, but didn't get any extension. Righty was still in balance on their daily. So again, you want to use that as a catalyst? Okay. However, this market, right, decided to liquidate, and shorts obviously jumped in. Okay, that's exactly what happened. Now, range, absolutely beautiful. The range was the fifth largest in SPY this year, $21.11. The volume is going to be the sixth heaviest. It's over 140-something million. Now, I want you to picture this. It's still short-term money that sold this. Okay? So think how fast we went down in C and D, and then part of E, and how vicious it was, and how large the range is, and how large the volume is. Now picture if that happens, if long-term money all at once decides to get in, to want to get out of the market. I still think there's a lot of money on the sidelines. The other thing not to forget, we don't have all-time highs in regular trading hours. Okay? I mean, that's not going to hold. Oh, I'm on righty. I'm sorry. Here's NQ. That's not going to hold. It's not going to hold in ES at some point. Remember, we spoke earlier in the week. NQ is up 50% from April's lows. 50. The S&P over 40. We came in 2.5% today in ES, 3% or 3.5% in NQ. We're still nowhere near putting the monthlies back to balance. So again, if I'm not saying we can't go and take last month's low out at some point prior to getting those overnight all-time highs. However, I think I'd be a lot more confident that the bull could be deflated for a while if we went and got those all-time overnight highs first and put in some excess on the all-time high. Haven't done that. So we'll see. I think the market just wanted an excuse to liquidate a lot of weak longs. Just my 2 cents on that. Now, let's go to the charts because I think that's more important. And one other thing before I get to the charts. You know, the one huge thing I do in my room when we get that kind of activity is I tell people, please don't look for long. Now, I was trading NQ in C and D. I actually went to M and Q in the afternoon. I was like, I had a good morning. This thing is vicious. I really wasn't sure towards the end of the day, before the Three Stooges started, right? KL and M, Curly, Larry, and Moe. We didn't really get a lot of extension below E's low, right? So you had 90 minutes of vicious selling in C, D, and E. But then look, we went 1, 2, almost 3 hours just trying to push lower. We couldn't hold triple distribution. In fact, ES didn't hold it. NQ did. And so did Righty. But they couldn't. And then finally, so I wasn't so sure. I told the room, I'm not really sure. I don't know if the Stooges continue doing what we're doing or we try to take out some shorts. Once I saw what they were doing, I shorted a little bit in L and M. But I went to M and Q. Still paid very nicely the way it was moving. So let's go to these charts. We're going to start with the Russell. So here's your monthly. It's still up. Now, well, we still have 2/3 of a month to go. Okay? We still have 2/3 of a month to go. We'll see how ugly it ends, right? You know, it's a reverse hammer now. But again, we have 2/3 of the month to go. When will something really change again? Obviously, if we take out last month's low. Now, NQ is $6. IWM is $6 away from taking that out. So we do have to keep an eye on that, right? Because if you take it out, the monthly's back to balance, and then you have to worry about what? An outside month down. And by the way, I failed to mention, ES and NQ both had outside weeks down, and NQ had an outside day down. Their inside day up failed. Their inside day down accelerated beautifully. So they end with an outside day down and outside week down in NQ and ES outside week down. So the monthly is still up, but we definitely have to keep an eye on last month's low in the Russell. The weekly is balance. What's the balance? I would use probably a 4-week balance in IWM. 236.76. I'm sorry. This week's low took that one out. So even though it's a 4-week balance, the entire balance is this week because they had an outside week down. So the weekly high is the high of the, actually the all-time high. And the weekly low is our balance low. So there you have it. What does that mean? It means if you take out today's low in IWM on Monday, the weekly's down. And then you have to start worrying about going down to take the monthly and put it back to balance. Okay? Now, the daily is down. Came out of balance, right? It was in a 5-day balance. Boom. And we're below the 20-day moving average. $69 million. They averaged 33. Good volume, but it's not long-term money. NQ triple Qs. Now, their monthly is still very healthy. We're still $30 above last month's low. Reverse hammer right now, not looking good, but again, 2/3 of the month to go. Nowhere near the last month's low yet, the way the Russell is. Remember, we've been talking about this forever. At some point, the monthly has to come into balance. We'll see if it's this month. So the monthly's up. The weekly is balance. I'm going to call it a 3-week balance. Okay? So the weekly low of September 22nd, okay, will be the balance low. And this week's high is the balance high. And the daily, now you might call me crazy, you call me, but for those of you who have watched my video or in my room, you know how I feel. Yeah, we had a huge break today. But to me, because I think it should have been called up for the last 2 days and this morning, I'm calling it balance. You want to call it down? You can. I will certainly call it down if we take out today's low by 2 ticks on Monday. That's all. See? So that's all they would have to do. 92 million. They average 45 million. And then the S&P, up. Again, last month's low is 635. We'll round it out. Still $18 above it. Now look, we had a $21 range today. So believe me, we can get last month's low real quick. You saw how much this market can move in 3 time frames. But for now, it's healthy. Again, at some point, the monthly's coming into balance. The weekly is balance. This entire week is your balance high and low. We take out today's low, down on the weekly. You take out the weekly high, back to up. So you balance. And the daily is down. Why are they down? Because they barely stretched to the all-time high. I kept it in balance. So they're down. And we got pretty close to the 50-day moving average. 651.28. I didn't realize that. So, and look at the volume, 153 million. So, I don't think we'll get to 162 million, but if we do, it would be the 5th highest volume of the year. Again, it's short-term players. Can it bring in long-term money? Of course it can. Now, here's the thing. What side will they come in on? I still think there's a lot of money sitting there. Do they think this is enough of a pullback? Think about it. I don't. It's 3% off the freaking highs. We're up 40 and 50% from April's lows. So I don't think you'll see long-term money coming in to buy this. Not at these levels. So what does that mean? It means you can still get some selling by some short-time plays that start panicking. Anyway, I hope this helps. Rest up. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing to this channel, and we'll speak prior to the opening on Monday.